And I'm asking this question not to, and it mustn't be misinterpreted of the capacity and the job that the task force has done, but that this task force was used to deal with organizational matters, to deal with organizational ill discipline. So state resources were used by the ANC to be able to deal with their party leadership battles. How would you respond to that?
Yeah, that's why I said, had the president ended with that outside that house address on the 18th, and there was never any other address in government after that, I would have agreed with you saying that it's been a political thing from the beginning to end. It might have started political. Government that leads society today in this administration are the political parties that came with the manifestos and they told South Africans, this is what we're going to do for you and the likes. And the political decisions and the proposals sold to the society leads into elections, which leads into the formation of government. So when the government execute their work, they execute exactly which they promised as a political party when they come in. And that's what ends up into a police of government going forward. So if the president then addresses people and make pronouncement as a politician, he comes back into the house and he officiates that as a government position, then we cannot say it's a political decision, it's a government decision. So such as example I made, political parties, once they are in government, they are government. Any decision coming out of the committee cannot be said it's a decision of this and that political party, because there are others that are not here. It's going to be a decision of government that comes out of the ad hoc committee.
But because they have access to government and to parliament, they are able to make that decision. But I'll park it there for now. The other question was on, you mentioned, I think it's in Annexure NSM3 and 4, where you spoke about the Richards Bay minerals. In KwaZulu-Natal, perhaps you can speak to us directly on that. How many companies have requested services from the police exclusively on their premises? Do you have that, or is it something that happens very often? And I'll ask this in light of other crimes that are happening that might even exceed what is going on in companies, and also the political killings and related matters as well.
I must say, Honorable Chair, Honorable Members, that as far as I've been in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, I've never received any specific request from a company for a specific protection. The meeting or the deployment of members in Richards Bay to go and work at the Richards Bay minerals. After it happened, the group of companies under the CEO of Chamber of Commerce in Richards Bay invited me to a meeting. I think the meeting was held in one of the hotels in Richards Bay, where I had to explain to them, why am I giving preference to Richards Bay minerals with deployments? Why am I not prioritizing them as a provincial commission? It was a painful meeting because I had to say to them, RPM have got connection in hub bases. That's why they've got a dedicated deployment. That deployment is not controlled by me. I can't get involved. As a provincial commissioner, this is what I can do to offer the service, and these are limitations that I have. If they can help me to meet me halfway, I'll work on it. And then we agreed that, okay, we're going to help each other going forward. But the issue of RPM had to be addressed with the minister. That's why then there was an invitation for the minister to come in so they can talk about that issue. But it was a first for me to experience such, and specifically members deployed to go and work for the company. Other than that, it was just an incident that was not much of, because we did not necessarily spend much resources. But you'll recall when we had the looting during 2021 unrest, the interest that was expressed by majority of the ministers surrounding the safety of South African brewery. Only that company was of an interest to many ministers, and the rest of the companies have been looted at the time. There was no calls to me about it. So that was the only one that had happened about South African breweries during the riot, and then after that was the Richards Bay minerals. But Richards Bay had a total deployment. I understand that they wanted to come and explain themselves how it came about, but the police management has got records, money spent, and the resources deployed for that.
And according to you, General, do you know who's the contacts they have in high places that did the deployment to register?
I do not know. The answer when I queried my boss, the answer was that the presidency. Now, presidency constitutes many people. There is a president, deputy president, ministers, DGs, DDGs, many senior people, advisors that are influential in that office. So I don't know exactly who in the presidency has spoken to the National Commission about that deployment, but that's what I was told. It's the presidency. So it's something that just troubled me. But what made it worse, I think, honorable chair members, the CEO of that place stays here in Cape Town. He runs that business from here. I had invited him into my meeting. He met with me once before that incident. So I thought we build a good relationship with him, that if he has issues, then we can talk about. And I deployed out of my own those few members that were to assist with the investigation without being asked by anyone. A year later, when there was no success, I pulled him back. Instead of him coming back to me and say, Jerome Konazi, you gave me something that was helping me, can you keep it on? Maybe we're going to discuss, because they were not there for Richards Bay. They were there to investigate cases. But what they ended up doing was to service the mine, not investigating the cases I asked them to do. That's why I pulled them back. So if he wanted the type of services, that's why when the directive came and says, send them back, and I said, now it's no longer about this case anymore. It's about the safety of that area. So let me make the team bigger so that we can go and service everyone. Unfortunately, I was overtaken by the head office on that one. So it's unfortunate, because those members ended up doing what they did in prison, which make us to talk about them today.
And the last question, the ministers that sent you WhatsApps to protect SA bureaus, are you going to tell us?
No, it was a phone call. It was not
phone calls. Okay.
Yeah, it was phone call. Well, one of them was our former minister at the time, called me. I cannot remember the other ministers that were calling, but there were a couple of them. That what triggered me, because you don't get a call from one person, you get a call from different people talking about the same thing. But the worry that what was presented was the safety, because of, I think, those gas cylinders and whatever that they are using, that Spingo. The fear was that if such were to catch fire, the impact that was going to have in the community, in that area as a whole, was going to be severe. Then my question was, why did you even give a license for the company to operate in such a build-up area? If you have that risk, take them away to the bushy area somewhere and make sure that you set up perimeters that nobody must come and build there, because you want to avoid this thing. So if it is such a risk, it means it can happen anytime. Route or not route, it can still happen. And when it happens, you can have to ask questions. Why did you authorize it to operate like that? Or maybe they were there before these built communities came around. Why then did we allow these communities to come close to it, if that is a risk? But, well, I have no authority over that. I guess the city will decide on that demarcation.
Thank you, General. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, honorable members. We have come to the end of the afternoon session. So we are going to